Chapter 1-1. Level 7 in the initial test, the posture of becoming an emperor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. The 7th level of the first test, the posture of becoming an emperor, Do Qi continent, among the Thunder world, in a huge square that exuded an ancient atmosphere, a group of children around 8 or 9 years old gathered nearly 100 people. Today is a very important day for the Thunder clan. Today, a new group of outstanding geniuses will be selected from the new group of juniors for training. On the square, Lei Qi, who was in charge of the junior bloodline test, saw that everyone was almost there, and said calmly, "Let's get started." After Lei Qi announced the start, there were 5 high platforms in total, and each of the extremely strong men walked up. Thunder is the leader of the elements, and its power is naturally extremely powerful. Similarly, people from the Thunder clan who practice the attribute of Thunder have to train their bodies since childhood. As a result, almost all of the Thunder clan, regardless of male or female, look exceptionally strong. It's okay for men, but some girls look a little thick. However, there is no rejection among the ethnic groups. After all, this world is ultimately based on strength. Next, Lei Qi. Among the crowd of boys and girls, a handsome young man with a dignified appearance and a hint of immaturity walked out. Unlike most strong young men from the Lei tribe, Lei Qi's tendons are very graceful, and he doesn't look like a thick man. Instead, he looks like a pretty boy with thin skin and tender flesh. But Lei Qi, who was out of tune with most people here, didn't make any sarcasm when he came on stage, because the seemingly gentle Lei Qi is actually the leader among the younger generation. This is a talented player. However, the ancient family ultimately depends on the bloodline level. Although Lei Qi is strong now, if the bloodline level is low, future achievements will be limited after all. Therefore, this day is particularly important. Lei Qi was very clear about this when he was born. However, he actually has nothing to worry about. You must know that he is one of the many time-traveling parties. As a member of the time-traveling army, how could he be wrong? How could he be wrong? It can be said that with his understanding of the world and the family prosperity system that comes with it, his future will definitely be good. Arriving in front of the test astrolabe, Lei Qi put his hand on the astrolabe, and then saw the dark stars light up instantly. 1, 2, 5, 6. The stars on the astrolabe continued to light up. 6 of them lit up in the blink of an eye, and there was no intention of stopping. At this moment, all the outside elders of the Thunder clan seemed a little excited. Just at the beginning of his bloodline awakening, Lei Qi lit up 6 of them. This has not happened in the Thunder clan for a long time. You should know that those who can usually light 6 stars when they are young must be at the 9th level of bloodline during the adult ceremony. In other words, Lei Qi will become a fighting saint in the future. The bloodline of the Do Emperor family brings great convenience, but at the same time, it also brings great resistance. Before reaching Do Zun, the power of bloodline is a help, but once the cultivation level reaches Do Zun, at that time, the bloodline level is not high enough, and it is usually the end. Many people spend their entire lives in poverty, but in the end find it difficult to move forward at all. Even with huge resource infusion, it is only a slight improvement. Of course, there are no absolutes, but this situation is still the experience gained by generations of people. But at this moment, the 7th star on the astrolabe lit up. All the outside elders were stunned at this moment. Lei Qi came to Lei Qi's side regardless of his own image. At this moment, he seemed to see a long-lost hope. After the 7th star fully lit up, although the 8th star did not light up, it flashed a faint light, and this is what made Lei Qi cry with joy. Lei Qi, a high-level 7th grade bloodline. Along the way, there was a lot of discussion in the room. Everyone of the same age present was in awe. They all know what the grade of bloodline means. This means that Lei Qi's future status will be greatly different from theirs, and the resources he will enjoy are far beyond their reach. The gap between them will also become wider and wider. Lei Qi looked at the admiring eyes of everyone, but he seemed very dull. He is not a child, and he has his own golden fingers. Give it to a dog, and the dog can push it all the way. Lei Dong, a 6th grade bloodline senior, not just when everyone was paying attention to Lei Qi. Suddenly, a sound came from the distance. Hearing the sound, many people looked over. Lei Qi looked over as well. he was not surprised that he had a high-ranking 6th-grade bloodline. After all, in the original world, this kid hardly showed up, but showing up was the pinnacle of existence. It can be said that this is also a truly ruthless person. At least among the younger generation of the 8 ancient tribes, they can be called the leaders. Xiao Yan and so on are all hanging on the wall and cannot be counted. At this time, the sky above Lei Qi, a man who looks like an iron tower stands in the air. His skin is slightly dark, which gives people a strong visual impact. It is visible to the naked eye, as if there is a giant dragon swimming under the skin. A terrible sense of power spreads faintly. And when it opens, the surrounding airflow becomes particularly restless. This person is Lei Ying, the leader of the Thunder Clan. Among the powerful fighting saints in the late 8-star stage, Lei Ying can be regarded as one of the top combatants on this continent. Every year, Lei Ying would appear here during the first blood test, but ever since Do Emperor completely disappeared from this world, until that ancient emperor 10,000 years ago, it seems that there is no Do Emperor in this world. The bloodline of the Didi family also began to slowly decline from that time. It can be said that the Didi family has continued to wither and withdraw from the stage of history since then, and now, there are only 7 Didi families left. They are the Ancient Clan, the Soul Clan, the Thunder Clan, the Flame Clan, the Medicine Clan, the Stone Clan, and the Spirit Clan. Among them, the Ancient Clan that annexed the last heritage of the Yao Clan has not yet exhausted its family bloodline. As for the Soul Clan, it is the relationship between the Void-swallowing Flame and the control of the Spirit-swallowing Clan that allows the Soul Clan to continue. Although it is not comparable to the Do Emperor era, it is definitely the top of this era. Although the bloodlines of the Thunder Clan, Yen Clan, and Medicine Clan have begun to decline, at least they are still full of talents, but the current situation of the Stone Clan and the Spirit Clan is extremely bad. Especially the Eldar tribe, which seems to be another ethnic group that will withdraw from history. However, unexpectedly, the Thunder Clan, which has been immersed in it for many years and has always thought that it was starting to decline, has 2 outstanding juniors appearing this year. Whether it is Lei Qi or Lei Dong, they are definitely the only 2 people in the Lei clan who have tested their bloodline for the first time in the past 100 years and reached the 6th level or above, especially Lei Qi, who is very likely to be the legendary divine bloodline. The future can be said to have a bright future, with the appearance of fighting for the emperor. At this moment, Lei Ying was extremely excited, because the glory of his Lei clan was likely to bloom again in his era. Chapter 22. The place of inheritance in the clan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 22. The place of inheritance in the clan. Lycan, bring Lei Qi and Lei Dong into the inner realm. After Lei Ying left a message, he returned to the inner realm. Yes, even in the world of the Do Emperor family, there are still 3, 6, or 9 levels. In the outside world, the strongest ones are usually 1 or 2 half-saint elders, and the majority are elders at the peak of Do Zun. After reaching Do Sheng and entering the inner world, one no longer interferes with external things. Even after fighting a saint, whatever he practices, it is very likely that he will be a master who has been in seclusion all year round. Therefore, in every Didi family, there are 2 realms, the inner and outer realms. Generally speaking, the elders from the outside world are responsible for the daily life and various allocations in the clan. As for the inner world, what needs to be dealt with is the deeds that determine life and death in the clan. It can be said that until that moment, almost all the powerful fighting saints will not be alarmed. Of course, nothing is absolute. For example, 2 boys with high-level bloodlines appeared in the Thunder Clan today. Lei Ying naturally issued a summons order. As long as they were not in retreat, most of the Supreme Elders and Inner Realm Elders came to the Thunder Clan's meeting hall after receiving the notice. Soon, more than 100 figures appeared in the main hall, including old men with white hair and white beards, and middle-aged people who looked young and energetic. But in fact, everyone present was 100 figures. Elderly people over years old exist. However, this does not mean that those present here are all strong fighting saints. Among them, there are also many semi-saints. Patriarch, what happened to make you summon all of us here? Asked a middle-aged man who looked to be in his 40s or 50s. When I tested the bloodline for the first time today, there were 2 people with bloodline levels exceeding the 6th level. Lei Ying looked at the person who asked the question, unable to hide his happiness at all. after hearing what Lei Qi said, everyone was stunned. The first time you tested your bloodline, did you reach the 6th level? Doesn't that mean that as long as these 2 juniors are carefully cultivated, the Thunder Clan will have 2 new fighting saints? For the Dou Emperor family, the more Dou saints there are, the more it can prove the strength of the family. After all, there is no such thing as fighting emperor in this world. One of them has reached the 7th level. I think that when he reaches adulthood, he will definitely be able to reach the legendary divine bloodline. Elders, do you understand why I called you here? Lei Qi continued. This time, many elders' eyes widened. When the great elder Lei Qi who asked the question before heard this, he couldn't hide the excitement on his face. This is God's blessing for my Thunder Clan. It is precisely because of their specialness that I want to open the inheritance place left by my Thunder Clan for them and send them to practice there. Lei Qi continued, there is also competition in the Dou Emperor family, except when they are unanimously facing the outside world, they are not so peaceful. Of course, this kind of thing does not only happen to the Thunder Clan, it also happens to the Ancient Clan. However, there are also places where one can speak for themselves, such as the Soul Clan. The words of Emperor Hun Tian were absolute orders, and this is exactly the gap between the clan leaders of several clans. I agree to this matter. Great Elder Lei Qi said in agreement. Great Elder Lei Qi is a powerful late-stage 7-star fighting saint. Even compared with each of the 3 immortals of the Ancient Clan and the 4 demon saints of the Soul Clan, they are not inferior at all. In fact, due to his thunder attribute skills, Lei Qi was not inferior to others in a single fight. If there was one thing he was inferior to, it was in numbers. There are 4 of the 4 demon saints of the Soul Clan, 3 of the 3 immortals of the Ancient Clan, and the only person with the highest combat power besides Lei Qi in the Thunder Clan is himself. With the great elder and clan leader Lei Qi both affirming this matter, the other elders would not refuse at all. After the Lei Clan elders agreed with his decision, Lei Qi also brought Lei Qi and Lei Dong to the main hall. Lei Qi glanced at the people here and knew in his heart that these people were the top combat power of the Lei Clan. Lei Dong had heard about things in the inner world, but he thought it would take many years to get here, but he didn't expect that at this time, he would have the opportunity to enter it. Lei Qi glanced at the people present. Except for some elders who liked to retreat, almost all the elders of the Thunder Clan were present, which was not surprising. See Patriarch. As Lei Qi paid homage, Lei Qi and Lei Dong also clasped their fists and saluted. Without exception, all those present were elders. Among them, Lei Dong's father is also here. However, his father is only a 2-star fighting saint. As for Lei Qi, he is the kind of protagonist who starts the game. Lei Qi, Lei Dong, you two are very good. For this reason, the leader of this clan has decided to open the land of our Lei Clan for you and send you into it. You have a chance to practice for nearly 10 years. What can you achieve after you get out of seclusion? The extent of it all depends on you. Lei Qi looked at the 2 of them and said directly. Except for the important things in the clan, everything else in the Thunder Clan has always been straightforward. There are no twists and turns. If you are dissatisfied with something, just go to war. Even for a smooth person like Lei Qi, his personality has been affected to some extent since his birth. What is the clan? Compared to Lei Dong's response, Lei Qi asked curiously. That is a realm of thunder opened by our clan's Thunder Emperor. It contains powerful thunder power. Practicing in it will definitely be of great help to people with thunder attributes. You must know that every time the clan's land is opened, it requires a lot of resources, and I hope you can take advantage of the opportunities. In addition, you also need to pay attention to your own safety when entering. Every place of opportunity is full of dangers, especially the Thunder Clan land. There are even some techniques and fighting skills left behind by the former Thunder Emperor. Even some secret techniques exist in it. It can be said that if you seize the opportunity there, you will definitely be able to stand out from your peers in the future. After understanding it, Lei Qi was a little speechless. He, a person with a Hang background, still needs to go to that kind of place to suffer, and it's still 10 years. But judging from his current situation, it is obvious that he does not have the right to say no. Therefore, the 2 of them could only accept their fate. After being informed of some precautions, the clan leader Lei Qi led the 2 of them into the clan's collection of exercises. now that both of them are fighters, they can naturally practice martial arts, before the blood power has fully taken effect. Even they, the descendants of the Dou Emperor family, are just like normal people, even. The prodigy Gu Suner didn't break through to the fighter level until he was more than 10 years old. Lei Qi and Lei Dong were the ones who worked harder, so when they were 8 years old, they both reached the level of Doja. Lei Qi felt that as a time-traveling party, she could never lose to an indigenous people. As for Lei Dong, maybe he simply has a sense of competition, right? Chapter 3-3. The family's ancestral land forged the body with thunder. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. The family's ancestral land forged the body with thunder. The two of them are just fighting now, and the skills they practice are naturally not too advanced. There is a transition period. The two of them are not blessed to be able to use such advanced techniques at the moment. The techniques in this world are divided into Tian, Di, Xian, and Huang. Among them, each is divided into high-level, intermediate and low-level. Different techniques have different training speeds, but if you ask a fighter to practice heaven-level techniques, he may not be able to fly to the sky directly in one step. In the end, it all needs to be done slowly. Excessive skills. Lei Qi chose the Xian level mid-level Thunder Seal strengthening technique. Although this set of skills is not high enough, it can effectively enhance the physical fitness when practicing it. This is naturally what makes Lei Qi more attractive. He knows very well that a person's strength does not just rely on output. First of all, he needs to stand firm. As for Lei Dong, he chose a mysterious level advanced technique. After selecting the exercises, Lei Ying asked the two of them to rest. It would be the next day before they entered the tribe. When the two returned to their residence, Lei Dong man looked at Lei Qi seriously and said, Lei Qi, I will not always lose. Although you don't lose every day when betting on dogs, you have to know that you are facing me. Lei Qi glanced at the little kid in front of him and said without giving in. Sooner or later, I will defeat you with the strongest thunder. After hearing this, Lei Dong said even though it was a fact, he still said unconvinced. Then come on, if you can keep up with me, Big Brother will take you all over the world. Lei Qi patted Lei Dong's shoulder and said in a rare serious tone, Lei Dong is the kind of iron-headed guy who has no real intentions. Moreover, every time he was bored, he would recommend himself to be a punching bag, and Lei Qi still admired him quite a lot. I'm older than you. Lei Dong said dissatisfied. What matters in this world is never age, but strength, you understand. Lei Qi said again. There was a slight doubt on Lei Dong's face. He was even thinking, is it possible that he will be better than my father in the future, and can I hold him down and hit him? Lei Qi didn't care what Lei Dong was thinking. When he got outside the door, he opened the door and walked in. The house arranged by the inner world is many times better than the residence outside. The most important thing is that there is also a specially warm liquid for bathing yourself. 8 years. After 8 full years, he finally had the experience of being the dandy young master in the Dou Emperor family. That after taking off his clothes, Lei Qi got into the barrel. What if a few more beauties come here? Lei Qi suddenly shook his head. In a place like the Thunder Clan, how can there be such a beautiful lady? The next morning, Patriarch Lei Ying and Great Elder Lei Jin came here. Under a pile of rare thunder element crystals, the two of them attacked almost at the same time. Soon, the Thunder Clan's ancestral land was opened. Although you can stay here for 10 years, you still need to rely on yourself whether you can persist for 10 years. The Great Elder Lei Jin took out 2 jade slips and said, if you really can't bear it anymore, crush the jade slips I gave you. When the time comes, I will take you out. The two of them took one each, and then stepped into the so-called ancestral land of the Thunder Clan. When Lei Qi stepped into it, he immediately felt the numbing power of thunder spread throughout his body. This feeling can be said to be a bit terrible. Hiss. Hiss. When everything in front of him changed, streaks of lightning appeared in front of him from time to time. It's not dark here, because there are thunder and lightning everywhere. Lei Qi looked around, and there seemed to be nothing else here except thunder. Thunder. Suddenly, Lei Qi discovered that Lei Dong was not around. The two of them came in together. Lei Qi did not move forward rashly. Instead, he sat cross-legged on the ground and started to use his skills. This is considered the place of birth, and there is nothing special about it. After some practice, it is the best place to feel. Zitzi. That is to say, when Lei Qi's rotation technique started to be practiced, thunder and lightning gathered around him. Zira. Snapped. Zira. Snapped. Bolts of thunder exploded on Lei Qi's body. When these thunders exploded, Lei Qi immediately felt the pain radiating from his body. However, although this feeling is very painful, the fighting energy absorbed in the body is very abundant. It was extremely strenuous for the fighter to practice before, but after the fighter has the skills, his speed increases by dozens of times. Here, the speed of absorbing the pure energy of Do Qi becomes much faster. But at the same time, the physical damage was much more severe. Boom! After only practicing for half an hour, Lei Qi fell to the ground in pain all over his body. As the practice stopped, the strong power of thunder and lightning no longer caused any damage, but instead poured into his body gently. Although this energy is very different from when practicing, it is a good thing that at least you won't feel pain. Lei Qi looked around while absorbing the pure fighting energy. The Great Elder and others said that there are several levels here, and the first level is almost without danger. However, it has not been opened for so many years and he is not sure, so he still needs to be careful. As for the danger here, there are some fighting spirit puppets left behind by the Thunder Emperor. The level of these puppets is not high, but not low either, in terms of cultivation level. They should all be Do Master level or above. The highest level should be Do Huang level. Although they will not improve themselves, it does not mean that they will stay in a fixed place. Fortunately, after a day's rest, except for the rumbling thunder and lightning, there was no other sound coming from Lei Qi. Lei Qi didn't waste time. After eating some food, he accepted the baptism of thunder again. Every time lightning strikes the body, it is extremely painful, but it has to be said that after the pain, Lei Qi was able to greatly improve and increase the strength of his body and his fighting spirit. 1 month later, after a month of baptism, Lei Qi successfully broke through to the level of Do Master. The strength of the physical body has now become stronger. Moreover, his thunder seems to have been somewhat enhanced. He felt that his thunder attribute power was much stronger than that of a thunder attribute practitioner. Although they are all Pui, under the same realm and skill, his attack power must be stronger. This is indeed a nice place. After breaking through to Doshi, Lei Qi still did not leave here, and still chose to stay here to practice. Although this kind of cultivation speed is no longer as fast as before, if he rashly reaches the next level, he won't be able to do it. It's safe. Lei Qi wants to become stronger faster, but haste makes waste in this kind of thing, and it is useless to be too anxious. Right now, we can only lay the foundation step by step. As for our own family prosperity system, after coming out of seclusion, there is a natural moment to show it and let it shine. Chapter 4. The Restrictions and Puppets of Clan Land. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. The Restrictions and Puppets of Clan Land. 1 year after entering the tribe, Lei Qi has not taken any action that it just stayed at the place of birth. And during this year, he did see the puppets among them. However, they are almost all fighters, but even though they are fighters, because they are not afraid of pain, they are an extremely good sparring machine. At least in terms of fighting skills and combat, his experience is rising rapidly. Within a year of entering this clan, his cultivation reached the level of a 9-star Do Master. When practicing here, the energy that can be obtained is not very sufficient, and as time passes, Lei Qi discovers that the main purpose of practicing here seems to be actual combat experience, because every time he fights, Lei Qi will gain a lot of experience. This is something you can't experience when competing with Lei Dong. He did not rush to the second floor, but continued to spin on the first floor. Zitzi. There are long straight lines of electricity all around, and they will drip from the sky to the ground from time to time. Even people with thunder attributes have to choose to avoid it when faced with this kind of thing, but for someone like Lei Qi, who has been struck a lot, the first level of lightning power does not do much damage to him. Woo! Woo! Just when he was looking for sparring puppets, he happened to see 2 Do Master level puppets and more than 30 Do fighter puppets. Good guy, this is not a group, this is simply a group fight. Although the quantity made him feel numb, Lei Qi chose to be tough. It happened that the puppets also noticed him and surrounded him. Lei Qi did not choose to defend, or in other words, the Lei people only knew how to attack. He approached the two front puppets in a few steps, punched out, and smashed the head of one of the fighter puppets with one punch. As soon as the head was broken, the puppet fell directly. After smashing one with one punch, Lei Qi's legs were covered with thunder and lightning, and he directly killed the second puppet with a spin kick, bang bang. But at the same time, he was immediately attacked. The blows of these puppets are also particularly heavy. Fortunately, after a year of thunder and lightning, his physique became much stronger. Although he received a punch, it did not have much impact. Boom! Turning back, he gathered the power of thunder and waved his palm quickly. Under the two thunder seal palms, two more puppets were directly shattered. In just a short moment, 4 puppets were already killed, but the 2 Do Master level puppets were also approaching. Thunder Whip. Facing a Do Master level puppet, relying solely on physical strength to fight hard will not be very effective. At this time, it is necessary to use fighting skills. After all, he is only at the level of a fighting master. Shoo! After the long thunder whip condensed with electricity was thrown out, it directly hit the head of one of the puppet masters with a snap, but unlike the previous fighter puppet, it did not break into pieces. Oh! The other fighting master puppet, with the power of thunder gathered in his fist, was blown away by him with one punch. When Lei Qi was blown away and fell to the ground, there were still sparks of light when he rolled. His body was sore and numb, but the blow from this Doshi puppet was different. Lei Qi stood up again, and the Doja puppets and the Do Master puppets mixed and surrounded him again. Lei Qi took action again, but just like before, he killed 2 Doja puppets, and then was directly knocked back a few steps by one of the Do Master puppets. This time, although he was on guard, but this punch still hurts. If this continues, it will obviously be over. Although he doesn't care about what he gets here, if he is sent out like this, how can he talk about status? It is impossible to run, because if you run, these puppets will be chasing after you. It is not easy or rational to escape from the past. In this current situation, it seems that the only solution is to fight head-on. His eyes once again locked onto the puppet he had attacked once before. The next moment, Lei Qi rushed forward. This time, Lei Qi chose to ignore the attacks from these fighter puppets. Break dance. When he appeared not far away from the Doshi puppet, Lei Qi's finger burst out with a purple light and a purple ray. Boom! The purple light directly penetrated the head of one of the Do Master puppets. The next moment, there was a muffled boom and it shattered. And after killing a Do Master puppet, half of his Do Qi was consumed. Thunderbolt Dance is an Earth-level intermediate fighting skill with considerable power. Even if Lei Qi cannot exert % of its power, there is no doubt that it only has 1/10 of its lethality, but similarly, the consumption of fighting spirit is also huge, and just after the Doshi puppet exploded, Lei Qi suddenly saw a spear appearing where the puppet shattered. He suddenly thought of what the patriarch Lei Ying said, here, there are all kinds of exercises, fighting skills, etc. But I didn't expect that. It turned out that these things were not dug up, but searched within the bodies of these puppets. As for why other people from the Thunder Clan don't come here to get it, it's because once they surpass Do Huang here, they will be excluded. Even if you bring people outside, you can't stay longer even if you are as powerful as Do Sheng. In short, this is the inheritance of a serious genius boy. Lei Qi rushed over and took the gun in his hand, then looked back and swung it over. Shoo! The gun was covered with fighting spirit, entangled with thunder and lightning, and the gun body directly hit the puppet in front, smashing the opponent's head to pieces without any pause, and then heard the sound of bang bang bang. Spread out. 5 or 6 combatants' puppets were all gone in almost an instant. Lei Qi was a little shocked. Although this gun was covered with some of his own fighting skills, judging from the power it unleashed, it must be quite impressive. Nice one. Lei Qi suddenly became energetic. As the saying goes, every inch is long and every inch is strong. After swiping several times in succession, even without any clues, he could still easily kill all the fighting puppets here. After getting rid of the fighter puppet in a few clicks, there was only another fighter puppet left. It had put itself at a disadvantage just now, and Lei Qi would certainly not let it go. Oh, but the fighting master puppet is also decisive, and when the distance is enough, he will punch. Fortunately, Lei Qi's reaction speed was good. When the punch came, he had already blocked the punch in front of him. after withstanding the power of the punch, Lei Qi looked at the spear in his hand. Although it had just been bent a little, it soon returned to its straight shape. Good gun, after praising him, Lei Qi shot directly into the opponent's head. Boom! Chapter 5. The treasure in the puppet. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. The treasure in the puppet. After killing all the puppets, Lei Qi's fighting spirit immediately became depleted. Immediately, he hurriedly started practicing. Zitzi. The power of thunder and lightning is constantly filling the body at this moment. After a battle, the full fighting spirit poured into the body. This feeling was simply amazing. The day passed, and apart from eating some dry food in the middle, he continued to practice and recover. The original intention of going directly to the next level has become much weaker. Before breaking through the great Do Master, Lei Qi thought it was better to be more stable. Anyway, I have nearly 10 years to practice here, so there is no need to rush. Moreover, for the people of the Doupo family, once the power of bloodline begins to take effect, their cultivation level will rise in a straight line. Another 3 months passed, and Lei Qi finally raised his cultivation to the level of a great fighter through constant fighting. When you reach the great Do Master, you can transform your fighting energy into armor, release your fighting energy outwards, and gather the energy to solidify into a rhombus shape. As for Do Ling, Do Qi condenses into a solid state. After becoming the king of fighters, one can even turn fighting Qi into wings and mobilize a small amount of energy in the external space, can soar in the sky. After becoming the Do Huang, fighting energy turns into wings, which can mobilize a large amount of energy of the same attribute from the outside world. At the peak of Do Huang, one can even stay in the void for a short time without external force. After Dozong, one can stay in the void without resorting to external force and can master the power of space. Once you reach Do Zun, you can tear apart space. After reaching the peak of Do Zun, there is a huge threshold. Especially those who enjoy the blood of the Doupo family, many stop here. Of course, even if you reach the peak of Do Zun, you cannot directly cross the saint level, but you can transform your Do Qi into 9 turns. When the 9th level of Do Qi is full, you can advance to half saint in the 9th rank. Although it is only a semi-saint, it is related to the word saint, which is 2 concepts with the peak of Dozun. It can be said that the gap between them is even greater. And the half-saints include junior half-saints, intermediate half-saints and advanced half-saints. After the half-saint, there is the fighting saint. If you reach the level of Do Sheng, you will be the real strong man in this world. The strong warrior of Do Sheng, with every movement of his hands and feet, the mountains collapsed and the ground cracked, and the space was shattered, and opening up a space for people to live in from the void space is the sign of a strong Do Sheng. There is also a dividing line between Do Sheng. After reaching 6 stars, one has the ability to move in space. It took more than a year to go from a fighter to a great fighter. It can be seen that the effect here is strong. At this time, Lei Qi also chose to move towards the next level. The strongest ones encountered on the first level are some Do Master puppets. And the things that exploded out of it were some Xian level skills and fighting skills. However, almost all of them are suitable for thunder attributes. According to the Patriarch and Great Elder, the entrance to the second level is in the center, and he has been moving towards the center. However, the world here is bigger than Lei Qi imagined. It actually took him nearly a month to reach the entrance to the second floor. After successfully reaching the second floor, what Lei Qi saw in front of him was still the endless flat land. There seemed to be no other creatures here except the puppet and him. I wonder how this kid Lei Dong is doing now. Lei Qi did not leave the exit, but directly chose to stay here to practice. He wanted to see if Lei Dong had reached the second level or, half-year later, Lei Qi's cultivation level has been upgraded to a 5-star fighting master, but there is still no movement at the exit here. That he simply gave up waiting and left here. However, Lei Qi may not have expected that Lei Dong would also appear here just as he left here. Compared to Lei Qi, his speed is still a little behind. However, Lei Dong's cultivation level has also reached that of a great Do Master. Lei Qi wandered around, searching. As more puppets were killed, he gradually discovered that these puppets could not only improve combat experience, but also possess many good things. Moreover, this is an antique in Do Qi continent. Those left over from ancient times are undoubtedly good things. Zitzi. Zitzi. His hard work paid off, and soon he bumped into a puppet of a great fighting master. Tear. And when the puppet saw him, without saying a word, it just struck down with a thunderbolt. Boom! Lei Qi reacted quickly enough. When the thunder struck, his body condensed a fighting spirit armor. After looking at the black cracks appearing on the ground, Lei Qi swept away with his gun. Shoo! Oh, but compared to the Do Master puppet which has no protection, the great Do Master level puppet knows how to protect its head. After blocking Lei Qi's spear, the great fighter's puppet punched him at the same time. Call out, there was strong wind in the fist, and it hit directly towards the face. Lei Qi's hand holding the spear instantly released, and at the same time he punched out. Oh, the fists collided together, and in an instant, there was a muffled sound. The next moment, Lei Qi and the great Do Master puppet both retreated. The puppet threw away the spear and rushed over again, without understanding the marksmanship. This gun is really difficult to use. Break dance, the fighting spirit quickly gathered, and a thunderous ray shot out in a straight line. However, this great fighting master puppet is not a vegetarian. He does not only know how to fight in close quarters. Lei Qi displayed fighting skills, and it also displayed fighting skills. Boom! The two forces collided together again. Although Lei Qi only mastered Thunderbolt Dance 10 or 2, Earth-level fighting skills are naturally not comparable to those displayed by this puppet. He was instantly knocked back. Looking at the big Do Master puppet who was knocked out, Lei Qi took advantage of the situation and pursued it. In some respects, these puppets with rich combat experience are undoubtedly clever designs. Bang bang bang. After Lei Qi got close to the opponent, he punched it with strong thunder power and kept hitting it, bang bang. Likewise, the great fighter puppet kept punching, but Lei Qi didn't resist, but punched him to the end. Boom! After repeated bombardments, the puppet's head finally shattered. After solving the puppet, a book of fighting skills appeared in front of him. Sparks start a prairie fire. This is a book of low-level fighting skills with fire attributes. Moreover, it can still be contained in the gun body. It's just a matter of fighting skills. Lei Qi himself can also be cultivated. Coincidentally, he has the thunder and fire attribute, and there is also a wisp of wood attribute in the fire attribute, so practicing this fighting skill is even more powerful. In the original world, Feng Qing'er of Taineowang was able to cultivate both attributes, and she was naturally able to do so. After all, he doesn't think he is any different from the other person. Chapter 6. Black Magic Thunder with Terrifying Energy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Black Magic Thunder with Terrifying Energy. Ever since he learned that puppets can be explosive, Lei Qi, apart from cultivating his body and replenishing his fighting skills, has been fighting against the puppets. Spring passes and autumn comes. 5 years have passed. In 5 years, Lei Qi's skills were replaced with advanced Earth-level Thunder attribute skills that he has now reached the 3rd level, and his cultivation has broken through to the Do Huang level. In the nearly 7 years since I came here, my cultivation level has gone from Doja to Do Emperor. Before Do Emperor's bloodline began to exert its power, there was still no resource consumption. It can be seen how important this clan's ancestral land is. Yes, there are no resources for cultivation here. However, the resources consumed by the clan land are also not small. Therefore, cultivation here and outside still requires consumption. Boom! Boom! At this time, a Do Huang puppet was constantly clashing with Lei Qi. The two figures have been fighting on the 3rd floor for the past few days. In terms of strength, this Do Huang puppet should be able to reach the 5-star Do Huang level. Different from other puppets, it is more like a person with complete equipment and many trump cards. Fortunately, the puppet is not a real person after all. Otherwise, with Lei Qi's current strength, there is really no possibility of solving the opponent. But even now, the chances are clearly not great. However, it took more than a day or two to come to this 3rd floor. He had seen many Do Ling puppets and even Do Huang puppets. However, the Do Huang puppet in front of him is definitely the first one. If it weren't for the fact that he wanted to see what treasure this Do Huang puppet had, he might have chosen to leave. After all, he already possesses even heaven-level skills and fighting skills. However, the heaven-level skills have not yet been alternated, and the fighting skills cannot be used. The fighting spirit required for heaven-level fighting skills can directly drain the fighting spirit from his body, otherwise, this puppet would be able to survive to this day. But it is precisely because it is difficult to kill that it proves its value. Break dance. Sparkling prairie fire. Heavenly thunder seal. Lei Qi's fighting spirit boiled, and he displayed his trump cards one after another. After reaching the level of Dohuang, he can naturally exert the power of earth-level fighting skills to the extreme. The stalemate has lasted so long. This wave of bombings is just a puppet. How can it react? Boom boom boom. The muffled thunder and the mushroom cloud all showed the tyrannical power of his trump cards, and in the energy smoke, the Do Huang puppet was ejected directly from it. Lei Qi held a long spear. Lei Yi moved slightly, and the next moment, he rushed out, arriving above the puppet. The spear directly smashed the head of the Do Huang puppet. Boom! That once the head is broken, it means that this puppet has completely ended his life. Lei Qi slowly breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, he saw a wisp of black thunder and lightning floating in the place of the broken puppet, black magic thunder. But no matter how you look at it, this doesn't look like the black magic thunder, because from its origin, it looks more terrifying than the black magic thunder. However, no matter what it is, looking at it, it should be able to absorb it, right? Lei Qi sat cross-legged on the ground, absorbing the dark black thunder as if he was cultivating the thunder of the absorbing clan. Immediately afterwards, he started refining directly. This place was founded by the ancestors of the Thunder clan, so first of all, it must not harm anyone. Zitzi. From the moment Lei Qi absorbed the black thunder, he felt as if his body was about to shatter. But now, the thunder has entered his body. If it hadn't been refined, it would have exploded for him. When he thought that he would die, how dare Lei Qi not fight? Rumble. It was at the moment when he absorbed the power of thunder with all his strength that cracks began to appear on his body. The moment these cracks appeared, they did not have time to expand, because the power of thunder and lightning poured into his body from the sky. Although the thunder poured into the body also carries trauma, it also has the ability to repair. If he hadn't relied on the thunder here, Lei Qi was not only thinking that he would have been completely divided by now. Rumble. Tear. There was great commotion here, and Lei Dong, who also came to the third floor, was also attracted by the commotion here and rushed over. Lei Dong seemed a little confused when he saw Lei Qi's naked body with cracks appearing from time to time. Although I don't know what Lei Qi is going through, don't think about it. If he can survive it, he will definitely reach a new height, right? Lei Dong clenched his fists, looked at Lei Qi there, and muttered to himself, "You'd better hold on for me, I will definitely defeat you." Lei Dong did not leave because Lei Qi's movement was so great that many puppets around him were attracted. Although he is only a 5-star fighting king now, however, looking at the Do Ling and Do King puppets that appeared, they rushed forward without any hesitation. He didn't know whether Lei Qi was afraid of being disturbed, but as long as he stood here. Of course he couldn't let anything happen to him. Moreover, after these puppets are killed, there are good things in them. Lei Dong also got a spear here. With one person and one gun, it was not easy for him to deal with 3 Do Wang puppets and 5 Do Ling puppets. But this kid seems to have obtained the secret method. He absorbed the power of thunder in a short period of time and raised his cultivation to the level of Do Huang in one go. With the blessing of the secret technique, these puppets were no match for him. In less than an hour, he had completely eliminated them. After dealing with the puppet, Lei Dong quickly recovered. Although Lei Qi was absorbing the black thunder, he was also aware of the surrounding things. He didn't expect that this kid Lei Dong would come here to protect him. What was even more unexpected was that this kid actually gained something. With this secret technique, he was promoted from 5-star Do King to Do King in one fell swoop. It was obviously extraordinary. And with the Thunder Protector, he was completely relieved and faced the pain of physical training again and again. A full day passed before Lei Qi finally contained the black magic thunder in his body, but he could clearly feel that this power was extremely unstable. At least, he can't control it yet. Temporary suppression will cause trouble sooner or later, so he has to leave here now. That he needs the elders of Thunder Clan to help him suppress it. After opening his eyes, Lei Qi looked at Lei Dong. "Thank you, but I need to leave here. I will tell you in detail when you come out. Lei Dong watched Lei Qi crush the jade slip belonging to clan leader Lei Ying after he stopped practicing, and immediately asked, there are still more than 2 years left, and the energy here is pure. Are you leaving like this? I can't help it. The thunder I absorbed is too violent and I can't control it. If I don't find the clan leader, it will probably explode. Lei Qi responded. When Lei Dong wanted to ask something, the space fluctuated. The next moment, the tall figure of the clan leader Lei Ying appeared in front of Lei Qi. He couldn't stay long, and he didn't have time to pay attention to Lei Dong. The restrictions here were so overbearing that he took Lei Qi away from the clan. Chapter 7-7. Cultivation of Two Attributes Together. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Cultivation of Two Attributes Together. After Lei Ying brought Lei Qi out, he also felt the violent power in his body, and the traces of black thunder kept appearing from Lei Qi's body. Lei Qi, what's wrong with you? Lei Ying asked hurriedly. I got rid of one of the strongest puppets and got this black thunder. However, this black thunder is much scarier than I imagined. I can't control it. Lei Qi told her current situation. After Lei Ying understood this, without saying anything, the tyrannical fighting spirit was directly injected into Lei Qi's body, and soon, Lei Qi noticed the violent thunder power. Even he was a little shocked, but precisely because of this, he felt that Lei Qi was extraordinary even more. Immediately, Lei Ying took action to seal the rioting black thunder. Although the power of the black thunder is terrifying, Lei Ying is also a fighting saint in the late 8-star stage, so it is not difficult to seal him up. Lei Qi, who was originally exuding black thunder, felt much better after this power was suppressed by Lei Ying. About half an hour later, Lei Ying gasped loudly, that he finally breathed a sigh of relief. The power of this thunder was simply terrifying, but fortunately, it was finally sealed. After Lei Ying breathed a sigh of relief, he looked at Lei Qi and said, I only temporarily sealed this black thunder, but if I want to completely control it, I can't do it. And if you don't want to suffer it, impact, then it can only become stronger. Only if you become stronger and master it, by that time, not only will it not pose any threat to you, but it will also make you stronger. I can feel it come on. This black thunder is not simple, it is definitely not an ordinary black magic thunder. In fact, he didn't know whether this was good or bad, let alone when Lei Qi would be able to master it. However, before you master its power, I need to suppress it for you every year. Lei Ying said with a heavy face. Rough. After hearing this, Lei Qi felt unhappy. Although Lei Ying said it tactfully, he didn't understand that if Lei Ying didn't suppress him from time to time, he would probably suffer backlash. Lei Qi's scalp felt numb at the thought of having a time bomb in his body. This time it was somewhat sloppy. Not bad, Xiaoqi, it seems that you have gained a lot in these years. Lei Ying continued, Lei Qi's cultivation has reached the level of a 2-star Do Huang, the 17-year-old 2-star Do Huang. This talent has completely confirmed that Lei Qi is indeed a descendant of divine blood. The harvest is not small, but the techniques I obtained are not all to my liking. Lei Qi sighed in his heart. However, he said calmly, I have been lucky these years, but I am just a little too lonely. This is the case throughout the journey of cultivation, and there is nothing we can do about it. Lei Ying said. Clan leader, I want to go out for a while. Lei Qi continued. Going out. Lei Ying had a meal. He was so good, why did he think about going out there? I don't think I can become stronger all the time if I only stay in the clan, so I want to go to the mainland and have some experience. Lei Qi added. The continent is extremely vast. Although it is wonderful, there are also many dangers in it. Lei Ying hesitated. Only those who can go through various hardships are more suitable to become a truly strong person. Lei Qi said. Then, well, I will arrange for a few people to follow you. They will not take action unless necessary. Lei Ying said, originally, he planned to arrange it secretly, but after thinking about it, he told Lei Qi. Of course this is good. Lei Qi is not stupid. His strength is nothing to the entire Zhongzhou, so arranging a few thugs to follow would not be a good idea. seeing that Lei Qi agreed, Lei stopped trying to dissuade her. After all, the eagle needs to soar into the sky. It is indeed difficult to grow up in a cage. By the way, Patriarch, I heard that Elder Mang Tianqi once established a school called Canaan College on the mainland? Lei Qi asked. There seems to be such a thing. Lei nodded. So, which college has the strange fire of the fallen heart flame? Lei Qi asked again. This old man doesn't really know. Lei shook his head and then said, What, Xiaoqi, are you interested in strange fire? That the Thunder Clan are all pure practitioners of the thunder attribute, and strange fire is of no use to them. Yes, my attributes are a bit strange. In addition to the thunder element, I also have the fire element. So, I want that strange fire. Lei Qi said directly. This mutated black magic thunder seemed to have a special swallowing ability, so Lei Qi wanted to try it. If he could swallow strange fire like Fenju, then he would be stronger if he cultivated both attributes. Of course this is not a problem. It's just that Elder Mang Tianqi was sent by me to the medicine clan to participate in the new pharmacopoeia. We have to wait until he comes back. Lei said again. Have they set off? Lei Qi asked hurriedly. We haven't set off yet. Lei responded. Then I'll go with you. Coincidentally, my fire attribute is also mixed with the wood attribute. Since I'm going to the medicine clan, maybe I can also study and become an alchemist. Lei Qi said immediately. Lei paused, nodded and said, In that case, I will go and explain to Mang Tianqi. You go back and rest first, we will set off tomorrow. Yes. After Lei Qi and Lei separated, they returned to their residence in the inner world. In his current situation, even the inner realm can be entered at any time. The fact that he has not become the young patriarch just means that he has not yet gone through the adult ceremony, and once the coming-of-age ceremony is over, this title will naturally belong to him. But even though he does not have this title, just because he has entered the inner world now, it is already a status symbol. Lei Qi returned to his residence, and several maids had prepared everything for him. These maids are obviously here to serve him. Lei Qi was very puzzled. Is it possible that there are not a few slender girls in the Lei clan? How could he afford to endure all these big and rough things? It is really uncomfortable to have a system but not get a test. Similarly, Lei Qi also has a lot of ideas about the outside world. The most important thing is that he doesn't know what time it is now. However, it was not easy for him to ask too many questions. It could be said that he could only understand it slowly by himself. Chapter 8. Lei Clan, the celebration of the Yao Clan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Lei Clan, the celebration of the Yao Clan. The next morning, Lei Qi, who had not yet woken up, was shouted out. To be honest, at his level, it would be okay to go without sleep for a few days. However, he just likes to sleep in like a lazy bed. However, even though he was disgusted, he still got up to wash up and rushed to the Thunder Clan's hall. There are not as many people here today as when we first arrived. Instead, there was only Lei, an old man who looked older than Lei, and two middle-aged men. Tianji, Lei Qi will be left to you. Lei said to Mang Tianji after seeing Lei Qi's arrival. Clan leader, don't worry. Mang Tianji responded. Of course he knows Lei Qi's situation. This is an amazing little guy. The reason why he is called Mang Tianqi and not Lei Tianqi is because when he was young, his bloodline was of low grade and he was sent outside the clan. This kind of thing actually happens every year. However, Mang Tianqi grew up after leaving the Thunder Clan, but unlike Yao Lao, he doesn't have any hatred towards the clan. When he was arranged to go out, his family also gave him something as a gift. There are still some differences in properties. As for the remaining two people, one is named Yang Ji and the other is named Zhang Yi. Both of them are leaders of the Thunder Clan's Thunder Legion. They are all young geniuses who appeared in ordinary civilian areas in the outside world, but because they do not have the blood of Dou Emperor, they are deprived of the Lei surname. But they are absolutely loyal to the Thunder Clan, and Yang Ji's cultivation level has reached the realm of 8-star Dou Zun. Zhang Yi's strength is somewhat inferior, but he is still at the peak of 7 stars Dou Zun. The two of them are naturally Lei Qi's bodyguards. After all, Lei Qi planned to travel around the mainland. After that, they followed Mang Tianqi and left the Thunder Realm. After coming out of the Thunder Realm, there is the continuous Thunder Mountains, where there are dark clouds rolling, lightning and thunder all day long, but it is precisely this kind of place, creating a small world, that is more suitable for the Thunder Clan. After they came out, they first went to Tianlei City. There are very few forces in the central continent who know the situation of the Dou Emperor family clearly. However, even some new types of forces do not dare to develop this area, because in this Tianlei City, there is a strong semi-saint in charge. People who don't know can't afford to offend a semi-saint, those who know this cannot afford to offend the Thunder Clan behind this, therefore, even this peripheral area, in fact, belongs to the Thunder World. The place they are going to is the Shenong Mountains located in the extreme south of Zhongzhou. In a way, the area here is actually considered to be out of the Zhongzhou area and therefore seems quite remote, but the so-called mountain is not high, there are immortals, and this mountain range is also a general reason. Although the Shenong mountain range belongs to the kind of wild area, where poisonous insects are rampant, and all kinds of beasts that are rare in Zhongzhou emerge endlessly, but because of the existence of the medicine clan, it is still a place for people to live. This area has become quite lively and this mountain range is rich in various rare medicinal materials. Many alchemists come here from far away in search of medicinal materials for alchemy, so the Shenong mountain range is also very popular. The Pharmacopoeia is the most important event held within a few years among the medicinal clan. The time of the Pharmacopoeia is not completely fixed and will change due to various circumstances. Generally speaking, the Pharmacopoeia and the Danta the Alchemy Conference is slightly similar, and to a certain extent, it is a conference between the truly top-level alchemists in the mainland. Through this conference, people will be able to know who is the number one pharmacist on the mainland today. Those who can participate in the Pharmacopoeia, in addition to the members of the Yao Clan, there are also some alchemy masters who once or now have a great reputation and extremely high alchemy skills in Zhongzhou, and they can also be invited, but this kind of acceptance the number of people invited is generally very small. After all, there are very few alchemists on the mainland who can be favored by the medicine clan, but no matter what, it doesn't hinder the magnificence of the Pharmacopoeia, not for anything else, just because of the title of the number one pharmacist in the mainland. However, only those with status can participate in the Pharmacopoeia of the Yao Clan. It's not like Danta, which will be known to everyone in the mainland, regardless of whether Dan Ta is convinced or not. In terms of alchemy, they are indeed inferior to the medicine clan. Although Lei Qi was already at the level of a Do Huang, he was not traveling very fast. During this period, they all took a space ship. Lei Qi also experienced a space wormhole today. However, to be honest, this kind of place is not worth Lei Qi's excitement. Fortunately, because of the Mang Tianji, they were fast enough and arrived at the Shenong Mountains in about 3 days. The billowing clouds and mists above this mountain range are not ordinary things, but are formed by the convergence of the energy of heaven and earth. The speed of practicing here is probably much faster than that of other places. Thinking about it, the power of any large sect or family will be different depending on the place it has. Soon, they came to a deep stream deep in the mountains. On the opposite side of the deep stream, a huge stone arch of about several hundred feet stood quietly, and an aura of vicissitudes of life came out from the huge stone arch. In the center of the arch is a distorted space, and here is the space gate leading to the medicine family. At this moment, figures are constantly flying out of the sky or deep in the forest, and finally fall outside the giant stone arch. After taking out some jade slips and handing them over to some guards outside the arch, who were dressed in medicine robes, they were put in. Lei Clan, Mang Tianqi. After arriving here, Mang Tianqi took out the jade slip and threw it over. Please come in 4 people. After entering, 4 people will go to the medicine world. As the guards let them go, the 4 of them stepped into the twisted space. At this time, Mang Tianqi said with emotion, I don't know if I can see the old man refining the elixir this year. Currently in the entire Douqi continent, Yao Dan is undoubtedly the number one alchemist in the continent. No matter which force he is in, there is absolutely no one who is better at alchemy than him. If I could witness it once, it would be a worthwhile trip. Lei Qi muttered, in fact, he is not very interested in alchemy. The reason why I came here is just to see what level the few geniuses of the Yao clan are at now. Let's go. the person to receive us is here. Mang Tianji just sighed casually, unless there is no one left in the Yao clan, how could the leader of his clan end up personally? Soon, a giant bird flew over, and then an old man from the medicine clan said with a smile, haha, I didn't expect Elder Mang to lead the team this time. Hey, you only hold it once every few years. You can't just come and fool someone every time. Mang Tianji said. The elders of the Yao clan didn't care about the straightforward Mang Tianji, but after seeing Lei Qi, they were a little curious. Why did you bring it to the younger generation of the family this time? Your medicine clan has a few outstanding girls, just in case you come to get married or something. Mang Tianji still responded indifferently. The old man from the medicine clan looked slightly displeased. Excellent female doll, marriage? Want to eat? Women from the Dou Emperor family, as long as they are talented, will definitely not allow the other party to lose their virginity before Dou Sheng. Because that will affect the power of blood. It's not that there aren't ordinary women, but to be taken out for promiscuity, she must be the genius of the Thunder clan. Which family's genius will marry a woman with low qualifications? Chapter 9. Observe for January and advance to level 9. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Observe for 1 month and advance to the second level. Soon, they were taken to a huge mountaintop square in the Yao clan. At the same time, countless smoke pillars slowly rose into the sky, filled with the rich fragrance of elixir. In previous years, these tribes were actually just going through the motions. After all, the abilities displayed by the other tribes in refining medicine were not that great, but because Lei Qi expressed interest in this alchemy matter, they stayed here. Due to their status, they will naturally not be left in this scene. The top of the medicine mountain is surrounded by clouds and mist, and the strange fragrance of dandelion spreads, making people feel refreshed and happy, as if they are in a fairyland. On the top of Yao Shan Mountain, pieces of medicinal materials gather. Like an ocean. Above these seas of medicine, there is a huge square floating out of thin air. At the 4 corners of the square, there are 4 huge medicine cauldrons, which are emitting the fragrance of alchemy. The plume of smoke shot straight into the sky. Nowadays, there are many figures standing on this huge suspended platform, and the sounds of lively conversations are constantly coming out, making it very lively. Lei Qi followed Mang Tianji and looked towards the north of the stone platform. There were stone chairs lined up side by side. After Mang Tianji found a seat, he came here with Lei Qi and sat down. After they took their seats, the beautiful maid shuttled past like a butterfly, filling all the jade cups on the stone table with her deft hands. Needless to say, the maids of the medicine clan are all pretty and pretty. Shao Qi, what should I say? The girls here are more attractive than the ones from my Lei clan. Mang Tianji said with a playful expression when he saw Lei Qi looking at the maid. Yeah. Lei Qi nodded. I don't know what the wives of my Thunder clan think. Sure enough, the outside world is pleasing to the eye. Mang Tianji muttered again. Elder Mang has not married for so many years, but he has a sweetheart. Lei Qi said. Harm, it's all in the past. Mang Tianji did not elaborate, but just mentioned this, and the true nature of a man he had shown before had dissipated. At this time, Lei Qi also looked down, and soon, he was attracted by a man, a 5th-grade alchemist with a 1-star Do Wang cultivation level. Naturally, it was impossible for such a minor role to attract his attention. Instead, the woman next to him had long blue hair and delicate cheeks, but was as cold as ice, giving her the feeling of an iceberg beauty. Such a woman is undoubtedly more tempting. After all, seasoning an iceberg makes it that much more obviously accomplished, but Lei Qi knew very well that she would not have a chance now, or in the next 10 years or even longer. After all, that is the genius of the medicine clan. Those 2 little guys are a pair of brothers and sisters. The boy is called Yao Tian and the girl is called Yao Ling. They are both the best in your generation. Oh, by the way, that boy over there is called Yaxingji, and there are also he has a good talent. Mang Tianji saw Lei Qi looking towards the field, and immediately introduced the new generation genius of the medicine clan. However, Mang Tianji felt that whether it was Yao Tian, Yao Ling, or even Yaxingji, they were completely incomparable to Lei Qi. Less than 20, only 17 years old, the power of Do Emperor's bloodline has not yet fully begun to exert its force, but he has already reached the realm of 2-star Do Emperor. This terrifying speed of cultivation is even more difficult for Do Emperor's family. That can definitely be called a top genius. After all, even if the geniuses of other tribes are now instilled with various resources, their cultivation level can reach the level of Do Wang, which is already considered a great existence. However, if it were Do Huang, there would be a huge gap. It would be more interesting to surpass them in alchemy in the future. Lei Qi said. I don't think this is very realistic. Mang Tianqi shook his head. Among the medicine clan, there are many 8th grade alchemists and 9th grade alchemists. As for the Thunder clan, they currently only have one 8th grade peak alchemist. In this regard, the same is true for other ethnic groups. In this case, even though Lei Qi is extremely talented, there is still a huge gap between them. Furthermore, Lei Qi was going to choose to cultivate both thunder and fire. If this was adding an alchemy technique, how could he learn it? You know, you can't chew too much. Hey, let's talk about this kind of thing later. Lei Qi is naturally not too idealistic. He is just talking about it at the moment. However, the Thunder clan is in great need of a 9th grade alchemist. It's just that this 9th grade alchemist is not so easy to train. In the entire Doqi continent, there are very few 9th grade alchemists, and everyone who is not a 9th grade alchemist in the medicine clan either has his own family or likes to be alone. The most important thing is that the Dudi family looks down on those who do not have Dudi's bloodline, and does not want to cultivate anyone with high talent in alchemy. The only exception to this is the Soul clan, unlike the other tribes, who look down upon those who do not have Do Emperor's bloodline. The Soul tribe is exactly the opposite. Not only did Hun Shuzi, who was good at refining medicine from the Soul clan, go to the Dan Pagoda to study, but he even founded the Soul Palace to recruit powerful people from the mainland. Pattern. No matter what TM thinks, this Soul Emperor is crushing Gu Yuan, who is also a 9-star peak fighting saint. There is no need to mention the other clan leaders. After all, if you don't enter the 9 stars, to the top fighting saints, they are all just ants. The elixir refining of the younger members of the medicine clan is just the beginning. For the people who can come here, it can be said that it is nothing at all. The back of the pharmacopoeia is undoubtedly more eye-catching, whether it is the competition between the 8th grade peak alchemist or the competition between the 9th grade treasure alchemist. It is even more shocking. However, perhaps there were not very top alchemists among the people who came. So the one who took action this time was not Elder Wanhua of the medicine clan. Instead, he is just a treasured elixir master. But even if it wasn't the Xiandan scene, it still gave Lei Qi and others a feast for their eyes. A month has passed since I watched the conclusion of a competition in the Yao Clan, and this month, Lei Qi did not gain nothing. At least, through their alchemy, he has been able to directly refine the 2nd grade elixir. After learning about this, not only Mang Tianji was struck by lightning, but also some strong men in the Yao Clan. I have never had any experience in alchemy. However, after just 1 month of observation, I was able to refine a 2nd grade elixir. Such a terrifying talent, even among the medicine clan, few people can compare with it. The most frightening thing is that Lei Qi is not only talented in refining medicine, but also in terms of cultivation. The 2-star Do Huang can be called a dazzling new star among his peers. Chapter 10. The talent is excellent. The Yao Clan wants to marry. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. The talent is excellent. The Yao Clan wants to marry. I in the main hall of the Yao Clan. After the pharmacopoeia, the elders of the usual medicine clan should have chosen to retreat at this moment. However, today, all the elders of the medicine clan gathered here. There were probably 100 people present, but in terms of fighting saints, there were only 27, and the rest were mostly half-saint elders. Moreover, most of them are still junior semi-saints. It can be seen that the Yao Clan has also begun to walk on the road of defeat. Speaking of which, the medicine clan is still better than the spirit clan and stone clan. After all, the current patriarchs of the other 2 clans may only have the cultivation level of a 5 or 6-star fighting saint. Everyone is gathered here today just for one thing. Yao Dan looked at all the elders present with a heavy look on his face. Clan leader, don't you want to marry the Thunder clan? Elder Wanhua asked. Yao Dan paused and did not respond. Instead, he said, Elders, what do you think of Lei Qi from the Thunder Clan? That Yao Wangui, another important figure of the Yao Clan, snorted coldly and said with disdain, even though the talent he has shown is good, he is still far behind when compared with our Yao Clan. The future is here. To a certain extent, you may stop moving forward, so you don't need to care. The Medicine Clan is definitely very arrogant when it comes to alchemy. Clan leader, do you want to guide Lei Qi through marriage? Another elder of the same status as Elder Wanhua asked. Yes, I have this idea. Yao Dan did not deny it, because this is the best dowry for marriage. But has the clan leader grown taller? If this Lei Qi really becomes a master, my position in the Medicine Clan will change. Elder Wanhua said. That when the Yao Clan was discussing important matters, Lei Qi was invited by the Yao Tian brothers and sisters to the small town of the Yao Clan descendants. Although the bloodline of the people here is almost non-existent, they still belong to the Medicine Clan. The people living here are actually just like the people living in the city outside. They work at sunrise and rest at sunset. The city didn't want to. After all, the number of these descendants was in the millions. The most important thing is that almost all the girls in the city are pretty and pretty. Maid, why do women from my Thunder tribe think that having muscles is beautiful? Lei Qi was a little confused. Brother Lei Qi, is there anything you want to play with? I'll pay for it today. Yao Tian asked with a smile, although it was unclear why the clan leader asked the brothers and sisters to entertain each other. Since it was the clan leader's personal order, Yao Tian did not dare to refuse even if he was unwilling. How about hanging out and listening to music? Lei Qi said. Yao Tian looked confused and glanced at Yao Ling. Yao Ling still looked calm and just shook his head. May I ask Brother Lei Qi, where is this Golan place? Yao Tian asked. It's nothing, just a joke. Lei Qi looked at Yao Tian and found it interesting. At first glance, this guy is addicted to alchemy and can't help himself. He didn't even know about such a magical land of flesh and blood, but for the cold beauty in front of her. According to what Mang Tianji said, the Yao clan most likely wanted to marriage by keeping them as guests. If nothing else happens, this medicine should be the magic weapon. Yes. The genius of my family naturally does not want to get married, but we must also know that there are no absolutes. However, Lei Qi still doesn't like marriage very much. It's not that I think there's anything wrong with the girl, but it's because, being able to see but not touch, there is a thread in marriage. Let's take a look around. If Brother Yao Tian doesn't have any good places to go, I have a few questions and would like to ask. Lei Qi said. Second-grade elixirs are relatively simple, but as for third-grade elixirs, Lei Qi has refined them nearly 3 times, but without exception, they all exploded. Oh, that's good, let's go to that tavern. Yao Tian himself was too lazy to go shopping. After hearing what Lei Qi said, he took him towards the tavern. After the 3 of them arrived at the tavern, Yao Tian learned of Lei Qi's doubts, and the corners of his mouth twitched. Brother Lei Qi, have you really never learned the art of alchemy before? No, I wasn't interested before. If I hadn't found it interesting after watching a competition, I wouldn't have refined it. Lei Qi shook his head and said. You are a little eager for success. Even in my medicine clan, no one can continuously improve the alchemy skills in a short period of time. When will the second level elixir not explode once before considering the next level? In addition, you without real fire, failure is natural. At this time, Yao Ling, who had never spoken, suddenly said, this cool girl has a very pleasant voice. If you conquer it, the sense of accomplishment will be. Why are you looking at me like this? When Yao Ling saw Lei Qi finished listening, he looked at her eagerly, a little dissatisfied. The clan has never met a girl like beauty, she's just a little excited. Lei Qi said. Yao Ling Zai Qingleng was still a little girl. When she heard Lei Qi's straightforward praise, a touch of pink appeared on Bingshan's face. The pink and tender little face appears, and it seems even more beautiful. Cough cough. Yao Tian saw his sister like this and reminded her. Yao Ling was also embarrassed for a while. Why did she? Lei Qi found Yao Ling's small appearance changes interesting. It turns out that the iceberg was just a cover-up. I'm afraid this little hoof also wants to wander on the sea, right? Yao Tian was a little unhappy when he saw Lei Qi still staring at his sister. he really wanted to ask Lei Qi, "Are you feeding the dog's belly with all your polite teaching?" However, Yao Tian knew that Lei Qi was free-range before his bloodline was tested. In addition, among the Lei clan, there is no operation to solve the problem by fighting. Lei Qi's character is aggressive, but knowing that this was the medicine clan, he restrained himself. Although the Yao clan is not as powerful as the Thunder clan, if the two Do Emperor clan fight together, even if the Thunder clan wins, they will eventually pay a heavy price. After all, there is still a big gap between the Thunder clan and the Soul clan, who can kill the Yao, Stone, and Spirit clan at will. It can be said that even the strongest ancient tribe on the entire continent will still have to pay a heavy price to be destroyed. Under such circumstances, Lei Qi naturally had to restrain herself. After that, the three of them had a casual chat before returning to the residence arranged by the Yao clan. At this time, Mang Tianji was already waiting here. "The medicine clan may be confused. Let's leave tomorrow," Mang Tianji said. "Yeah." Lei Qi didn't refuse and responded directly. Again, marriage is of little use now. In this case, why is it necessary to get married? Moreover, he is very interested in Canaan College's fallen heart flame. He also wants to know whether the black thunder in his body can really swallow the strange fire.